There's nothing wrong with the composition of that was chosen to be photographed. There is a strong horizontal, another strong horizontal, a nice diagonal, and a really preeminent frontal diagonal there. The problem is they're all the same value.
Mm-hmm.
And since what they amount to is just a bunch of shapes, it's up to you as the painter to tell me, as the viewer, which one is the focal point, or what are you trying to show me? What do you want me to focus on? I think you might have to sit down, Ellen, because of people behind you.
I'm sorry. Just trying to get this for posterity.
All right, so I'm just going to put that here.
No.
And can everybody sort of see that?
Yeah.
Is it reading very well as a photograph? I can't even tell.
No, well, no.
No. Okay. But I thought it had some, I mean, this is something that I would paint, and I could see other people painting it too, but right now it's frankly boring. But this is what's going on here. We've got this shape, we've got this shape, we've got this shape, and we've got this shape. That's not bad as far as shapes go. If it were an abstract painting, it would look like this. Kind of interesting. There's something going on there. Oh, I think maybe this top one should be bigger, it should be a little bit wider. But as far as shapes go, that's okay. That's something kind of restful about it. And obviously it needs to be wider. But there's not enough change in the value there for it to do anything for me. So what I want you to start thinking about is exactly how much control you do have over this. Just because it looks like that doesn't mean you have to replicate it like this. Case in point, let's look at this. Now, what is this about? This is what Pat's painting right now. This is all about the value contrast. It is very dramatic because of that. And I mean, this is nice, but my eye goes to that foreground, this here, the water.
Yeah.
Why does your eye go there?
Because of the contrast.
Because of the contrast, right, exactly. I mean, this is nice up here. It's beautiful glow, but the difference between this value and this value is not as strong. So if you want to direct someone's eye, you really want to take advantage of that contrast, even if it doesn't exist in your painting or in your photograph. Because this is really your photograph, right? You can do whatever you want with it. So that's kind of what I'm getting at here. And I had talked to some of you about the workshop that I went to this summer and how that, remember what I said was the most liberating thing about that was the fact that he said it doesn't matter what the photograph does, it's your painting. I thought that was just fabulous. It's like, what? It's the simplest concept in the world, but I didn't really get it before. I was always trying to make it what it wasn't. So I'm hoping that you all can see this. And this is just one technique for playing with your composition. And it doesn't matter what your photograph is of. What I want you to do when you try this technique is break your photograph into its major shapes, the major design elements. To do that, you probably want to squint your eyes. It doesn't matter what your photograph is of. If it's got a lot of dotty little stuff, squint harder. There should be something that you can pull together as a group. If you really are doing a painting of something that just has a lot of random shapes, forget it. Don't do that painting. It's not worth it. Why would you want to? Paint wallpaper. Design wallpaper. That's what you're doing. In this case, we've got, like I said, those four shapes there. Now, into three areas. And this is what I want you to think about. Try and look at your photograph or the thing in your imagination and think about it as being a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. Even if you're doing a still life, like Patty Beggs is working on a still life right now. Table with apples on it and a background. It still has 3 parts to it. It doesn't necessarily have to be deep space, but still arrange your things in these 3 areas. So let's say I've got sky is up here. I'm going to do 2 versions. And then there's my far shore. And I know this is not exact, so please just keep the criticism to yourself. Okay. Now I'm going to decide with these what is my foreground, what's my middle ground, and what's my background. And I might be inclined to think that the sky is the background. I could do that. Or I might include the sky as part of this back there. I definitely see this as the foreground. But I can play this 2 ways. I could consider the water and the far shore as the middle ground, or the far shore and the sky as the background. You follow me on that? So I can try it either way. I think I'm going to consider the far shore, for this purposes, I'm going to consider it the background along with the sky. Now, here's where your imagination comes in. This is where your design comes in. When you look at your, whatever it might be in front of you, try and think in terms of 3 values. Very easy. Light, medium, dark. Okay? Typically and traditionally, when we do classical drawing, we usually put the thing that's closest to us the darkest. Right? Because it's got the most detail, most texture, the colors are more intense, so the value is more saturated. And then as things go off, they become those smoky mountains in the distance, and they get lighter and lighter. But this is within your design control, so you can change this to make it change the mood of the picture or force your attention to a certain area. All right? So this is the traditional way that this would be allocated. This would be the darkest, and then this would be a medium value, and this would be light. Okay? And even though this is light, it's still obviously going to be a little bit darker than the sky. Where is Carol Beard and her magic marker? Okay. You all getting that? Can you see that? All right. Now, what happens to the mood if I switch it? Because you have several different possibilities here. Right now, let's call one as the light.